New developments in the growing threat from one of the world's worst terror groups. The Islamic extremist army, known as ISIS and by other names, is conquering cities across Iraq, Syria, and now reportedly crossing into Lebanon. ISIS fighters are slaughtering Shiite Muslim men and dumping them in mass graves. Today, the State Department spokesperson was asked whether the U.S. is actually supporting these killers.
That the U.S. was behind the creation of ISIL in the region, and
behind the creation?
The creation or supporting the ISIL, and they say that since the U.S. didn't attack yet or so far.
That's a ludicrous and absolutely false accusation or view.
Retired four-star General Jack Keane is a former Army Vice Chief of Staff and a Fox News military analyst. General, good to see you. You and I have talked about this group before. There are so many things going on in the world. They've been out of the headlines, but they clearly have not been out of action. How concerned are you now about reports that they may be working into Lebanon now?
Well, absolutely. I mean, as we've said, we've talked about it many times. This is the most significant threat to the Middle East that I've ever observed. And frankly, this bold and assertive move they made into Lebanon this weekend underscores that what we're talking about and why they're so threatening. Now, they participated in that attack with other Sunni groups in doing so, but on the same weekend, Shannon, they launched a new offensive in Iraq, collapsed the Peshmerga, a much-acclaimed military force that's part of Kurdistan, in Sinjar city, and also took 2 oil fields and now threatens the Mosul Dam. They did this on one weekend in 2 different countries simultaneously. Anybody looking at that knows that this is an organization of consequence and it must be dealt with.
And they are brutal, General. I mean, I've seen the videos, I've seen the pictures of them beheading people, carrying those heads through the streets, posting them online, talking about them, bragging about them. I mean, how do you even deal with a group that apparently has zero respect for life? None.
Well, we've dealt with people like this before. The Nazis were much like this, and other fanatical groups are. The way you deal with them is you kill them. And that is the only way to that they understand is force, and you have to apply force to deal with it. Plus, we need a strategy to deal with it. We have none. And the fact is that strategy should not just be the killing aspect of it. Shannon, we know what banks they're using. We actually know the names of their 7 portfolio managers. We should target the banks and target the managers. We should separate the groups that are supporting them politically because their goals are different than ISIS. Nobody has the same fanatical goals that ISIS has. And militarily, there's obviously much that we can do, and we're sitting on our hands and not doing anything to take them on. We're waiting for Iraqi political reconciliation. I somewhat suspect now that that is an excuse for not doing anything. When ISIS is exposed to us in Syria and is exposed to us in northern Iraq, airstrike, special operation forces, we can truly deal with them. We have targets in Army portfolios and CENTCOM and Air Force portfolios that are much available to us. Nobody can tell us the targets aren't there. They are there. And here we sit and we're doing nothing.
Very quickly, we're almost out of time, General, but I want to ask you about your thoughts that there are moderates in the area that know that they could be next. Is that going to be a good source really quickly in trying to push back?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the fact is, Iraq is an example. The Sunni tribes separated themselves from al-Qaeda. This is the same group that was so harsh in the message, so fanatical and so brutal, as you outlined, that no one wants to live like ISIS imposes on people. So that is the advantage that we have, is to use those groups against ISIS. This is not about us. It's about the region who are being threatened, and also, most importantly, the people who are being threatened.
Yeah, we got to leave it there, General. Thank you so much. Always good to see you.
Always good talking to Shannon.